Welcome to 6 Space VMS&T Initiation and Exposure courses. Students, teachers, scholars and sadhkas are welcome. Please open the lesson sheets file. First of all, we will have a perusal of the sheets provided in this sheet file. First sheet is just mentioning that 6 Space VMS&T phase 3. We are today entering phase 3 of 6 Space VMS&T. Phase 3 is titled Self-Referral Boundary of Unity State. Self-referral means 6 space and unity state means 7 space. Therefore 6 space as boundary of 7 space is the focus of this phase. Self-referral means 6 space, boundary of unity state means 7 space. Today we are upon step 1 of phase 3, and here we will be touching introductory features. Therefore, we all shall mention in our notebook 6 Space VMS&T that today we are at step 1 as introductory features of phase 3 as self-referral boundary of unity state of 6 Space VMS&T Initiation and Exposure course. Sheet 2 is reminding us that 6 Space VMS&T has reached a third phase. In phase 1, our focus has been upon hypercube 6. In phase 2, focus has been upon 6 space content flow, and in phase 3, there is going to be a focus upon self-referral boundary of a unity state, and today we are being initiated and there is going to be an exposure to 6 Space VMS&T as self-referral boundary of unity state, and introductory features are going to be touched today. Sheet 3 is depicting the phase 3 in the form of a figure. It is a figure which is designated as Damaru, and the formulation Damaru is giving us a TCB value 25. This reach as such can be taken as a raised to power 6 is to 12 b raised to power 5, and then H12 will give us 25 features. These 25 features as such will be depicting for us this 7 space body setup. So make a note that hypercube 7 can be depicted, can be picturized, can be symbolized in terms of this symbol. And further we know that 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 means a solid transcendence range is taking us to value 25, means it is the transcendence range which begins with 3 space as a dimension, 4 space as a boundary, 5 space as domain, 6 space as origin and 7 space as a base. It is this reach which is of value 25. Therefore, these are the aspects these are the introductory features, these are the introductory aspects which are attached with, and we know that hypercube 7 is leading to domain boundary ratio as a raised to power 7 is to 14 b raised to power 6. Sthapatya miring rod which is a synthetic setup of as many as 6 representative bodies of 1 to 6 space as hypercubes 1 to 6, and the ratio, domain boundary ratio of hypercube n is a raised to power n is to 2n b raised to power n minus 1, and it is here that n is equal to 7 is giving us this value. Further, we know that 7 space is playing the role of origin of a 6 space. It is this feature which will ultimately help us appreciate as to how 7 space is having 5 space as a dimension, and 6 space is also playing the role of an origin of 5 space. This setup is of 7 streams flow upwards, 7 streams flow downwards. These are the 14 streams, and at the middle is the placement of a 6 space. It is this feature which deserves to be depicted well. Let us make a specific note that at the middle is a placement of a 6 space. There are 7 streams flow upward and 7 streams flow downward. These 7 streams upward and 7 streams downwards, and we know 5 space is playing the role of dimension of 7 space. Therefore, it will lead to these values, and then 5, 6 and 5 as such is going to be of value 16, and it is giving a placement for 6 space at the middle. These are the features which we will be trying to be face to face with it, because it is only in terms of these features of this setup of hypercube 7. Hypercube 7, whose name is also a Damru, is of a setup of, and it is this setup we know that Lord Shiv, the transcendental Lord, is having Damru in his hand. Now, this depiction, this picturization, this symbolic representation, and all these features deserve to be noted well. These deserve to be tabulated. Therefore, in our 6-page notebook, we shall make all these features, write down hypercube 7, make its depiction as Damru, then make this depiction and see 7 streams flow upward, 7 streams flow downwards, and these 7 streams we know will 7 space gives us 5 as a value, as a dimension value, and further we know that 5 and 5 synthesis value, a pair of transcendence ranges is 7, and transcendence range, a pair of unity state 7 space value gives us 9. It gives us total value 16, and this way 6 space as origin of 5 space, and this transcendence out will be bringing us face to face with all these features of hypercube 7 and of a Damru. Further, we know that 6 space is a Surya and 7 space is a Dhruv. Now, how Surya, Sun is within pole star. 7 space is an origin of 6 space. However, how 6 space is within 7 space is the feature which is to be focused. It is with the comprehension of this particular feature that we will be in a position to reach at the self-referral boundary complete features, and how the space and technology of 6 space is availing these 14 components. A raised to power 7 is to 14 b raised to power 6 would mean that the self-referral boundary of unity state is of 14 components. Sheet 4. In this sheet 4, we have tabulated some of the features of value 14. 14 features of value 14 are depicted in this sheet 4. one shall go through all these 14 features one by one and sequentially, and with this chase that 14 is equal to 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 and 14 is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5 and hypercube 4. With these three features will help us appreciate as to how the hypercube 4, the representative regular body of 4 space, is a fourfold manifestation layer, and this fourfold manifestation layer is to help us reach at value 14, and 14 is the value which will also take us to 14 components of the self-referential boundary of 7 space. These three features, when are proceeded ahead, then we know hypercube 4 is of 9 versions. This say step ahead when will take us that where the summation value is 14, we can reach at hypercube 14, and hypercube 14 will be leading us to 29 versions, and 29 is the TCB value of formulation Brahma, the overlord of real 4 space, creator the supreme. Lord Brahma is creator the supreme. Lord Brahma is a 4-headed Lord. Lord Brahma as formulation Brahma is of value 29. 29 is the value which is parallel to 29 versions of hypercube 4. As such, we can see that these 14 boundary components of unity state will ultimately also bring us face to face with these features. Then a step ahead, when we know that the domain split phenomenon is the phenomenon with the domain at initial as a single entity splits into a pair of entities, then there are 5 entities, then there are 12 entities, there are 20. This domain split spectrum at the 4th split phase at a Visfort. Therefore, Visfort means explosion. Visfort is the concept, and this formulation is of value 29. Now, Brahma 29 and Visfort is also 29. It is this value of this formulation, it is this phenomenon which will be taking us to domain split spectrum, and with it we will be reaching at A raised to power 7 is equal to 14 B raised to power 6. All these features sequentially, gently and in the phased manner deserve to be chased, to be imbibed, to have a full appreciation of the A raised to power 7 is equal to 14 B raised to power 6, how the 14 boundary components will be also having a features domain which will be sequentially taking us to all these phases and stages. Now let us see that if we want to reach at value 14 by having a choices from the range 1 to 14, then we know there will be as many as 2 raised to power 13 choices, frequencies. So value 14 can be reached at as many as 2 raised to power 13 times. This 2 raised to power 13 times reach at value 14 is also a very big feature whose absorbing is important. Once one will be absorbing this feature, then one will be appreciating as to how big is in fact the domain of a pole star. Our solar universe, when accepts pole star as its origin, and when 6 space solar universe comes within the domain of the pole star, then how big a spectrum it is, how big existence phenomenon domain it is, and this will be one of the features with which we can have an idea about is the value 2 raised to power 13. Now we see if we are having values 1 to 14, then we see it leads to 23 factors. Therefore, this is the feature which also deserves to be comprehended well and to be appreciated properly, as we know 23 is the value of as TCV value of formulation Anant, means infinitely infinite, infinite infinities domain, and it is also going to be Shahestra, means only 1000. That how the value 1000, how the artifice 1000 can help us reach at Anant, infinitely infinite infinities. It is this feature which is also going to add to our insight and will add to our enlightenment about these features of the 14 components enveloping boundary of a unity state. Further, a pairing 14 into 16, it is a dimension domain format, reaching from 14 as dimension to 16 as domain. However, 16 we know is equal to 2 raised per 4, which is parallel to the value of the quadruple spatial dimensions frame of a creator's space. Beautiful, wonderful, excellent, and it is this excellent feature which is to be absorbed by us. Now, if we see, if we have the values range 1 to 9, then we know its factors are coming to be 40. See how this interconnection, how interwinding, how interfolds, how this organization is ultimately having a coordination, and then we know the Damru is a TCV value 25. Therefore, one shall sit comfortably and one shall add in with the help of sheet 4b sequentially go through these features 1 to 14 of value 14. Once we will be face to face with these 14 features of value 14, then we will be acquiring proper insight about the 16 components of self-referral boundary of a unity state of a 7 space. Now let us shift to sheet 5. Here is a concept of a kalp. This concept is a very big concept because one kalp is equal to 1000 chaturyug, and one chaturyug is equal to 12,000 divya varsh, and one divya varsh, divya divas is equal to 1 human year, and one divya varsh is equal to 360 human years. Therefore, we have to reach at the value of a 12,000 divya varsh. These 12,000 divya varsh as such will take us to a organization which is going to be 10 times, it is going to be 10 times the range of 4,32,000 syllables of Sakala Rigved Samhita. One may further have a pause here and take note that we breathe 4,32,000 times a day and night. It is this feature, it is this organization, it is this parallel feature, it is this format which is the format of the Vedic systems. It is the format of a 6-space VMS&T. Therefore, for proper appreciation of the format of Vedic mathematics, science and technology, then we shall have a proper appreciation of the sheet 5 concept. Concept is of a kalp, it is of a chaturyug, it is of a divya varsh, it is of a divya divas, it is of a, then it is also going to be how the organization of a one kalp as such is going to be equal to 10 times of the Shakla Rigved Samhita. And we know that Lord Brahma, creator, the supreme, is a 4-space body, and within 4 space the 12-edged cube is acquires a 13th edge, and it is this 13th edge which is a kalp. It is the kalpana, it is the kalp. It is this kalp, then it becomes a kalpana, then it becomes a value 23. This value 23 is going to be the value which is of a Shahestra. This way, this organization format deserves to be appreciated well. and further we know that this kalpa period of 1000 this 12,000 Divya Varsh is to be punctuated as 14 manus. This organization of boundary of 14 components means this kalp is to be chased as 14 manus, 14 manvantars. Now this 1000 when is divided by 14 will give us 71 plus 6 over 14. It is this 6 Chaturyug which are to be seen how these Chaturyug means 72,000 Divya Varsh. These 72,000 Divya Varsh are when to be seen and when would be reached. It will help us appreciate that there are 72,000 nadis, there are 72,000 nerves which are constituting, regulating and sustaining the existence phenomenon of a man within a human body. And we know 4,32,000 are the breaths. We breathe 4,32,000 times a day and night, and we are having 72,000 the nerves, the nadis, and then it is this phenomenon, it is this reach which will be helping us appreciate this particular organization. Now let us reach a step ahead. Let us open sheet 6. Now this sheet 6 is depicting, is tabulating the organization of a kalp as 14 parts, as 14 manus. These 14 manus, as these are given these names. So these names Swambhu to Bhau. These are the 14, these are the formulations. These formulations deserve to be chased in terms of their TCV values and further in terms of the total summation value, and see how it is taking us to these particular values. These values deserve to be chased sequentially one by one, as ultimately in terms of it we will be in a position to have proper appreciation of the applied values parallel to the pure values of CX 6-space VMS&T, which help us chase our solar universe. The sheet 7 is designating Krishnadeva Pine. It is the designation, the 28th designation of Vyas. Now, each Chaturyug is having Satyayug, Tretayug, Dwapar and Kali Yuga. Now, there will be 14 Dwapar Yugs. When we are having a 14 Manu, means within a kalp, we will be having 14 Dwapar Yugs. This is equal to, one kalp is equal to 1 day of the Creator, the Supreme. Parallel to it is the one night, and therefore in one night as well we'll be having 14 Dwapar Yugs. There are going to be in all 28 Dwapar Yugs. These 28 Dwapar Yugs, in these 28 Dwapar Yugs we'll be having 28 Vyas. Bhagavan Vyas is incarnating himself 28 times. In the first Dwapar Yuga, the Lord Vyas, Bhagavan Vyas is Swet, and in 28th Dwapar Yuga, Bhagavan Vyas is Krishnadeva Pine. Now Krishnadeva Pine is the formulation of importance, as Krishnadeva Pine, the 28th incarnation of Bhagavan Vyas, is the incarnation when Krishnadeva Pine, the Vyas, is authoring a Vedanta. Brahm Sutra. So Brahm Sutra is authored by Krishna Dopayan, and further Krishna Dopayan is organizing the knowledge of Ved, the single Veds, as 4 Vedas, and Krishna Dopayan is imparting knowledge of Rig Veda to his disciple Pal, Yajurveda to his disciple Vishampayan, to his disciple Jamini, Samved, and to his disciple Sumantu, Atharved. Further, the Pal is imparting knowledge of Rig Veda to his disciples, and we are having 21 branches. Like that, Vishampayan imparts knowledge to his disciples, and we are having 1001 branches. Here we will be having 1000 branches, and here will be 15 branches, 9 branches, which will be unfolding as 15 branches. Therefore, students of Vedic mathematics, science and technologies, sadhakas who have an urge to be face to face with the internal organization format features of the Vedic knowledge, and the Vedic enlightenment is the desire, is the anxiety, they shall sequentially go through these sheets. Once we have reached up till sheet 7, then let us have a pause, as from this phase onwards we will be having a new initiation exposure concept, in terms of which we will be in a position to have an appreciation of, to imbibe and to acquire insight, and to have an attainment of the enlightenment of the order of the Vedic knowledge. Therefore, the first concept is of a reality. Therefore, this reality concept begins with the reality of a 3 space. Now see that when we are within a room, or as if we are within a cube, howsoever big the cube may be, howsoever large the length, breadth and height of the cube may be, and when we are within a cube, then the entire universe, entire space becomes as if it is a 3 space only. It is this conditioning which is the first conditioning of the mind, and the sadhakas who are anxious, who are desirous, who have an urge to be parallel to the reality of the comprehension of the Vedic systems have to melt this mental state. This mental state is a 3 space mental state. In fact, it is a linear order mental state, as here one space is playing the role of a dimension, and the space gets superimposed by a triple dimensions, and these triple dimensions superimposed upon a space condition this space content. Therefore, with it a mental state is created, and one feels like as if this universe is a 3 space. This universe is not a 3 space. In fact, upon this space we have superimposed a x-axis, y-axis and z-axis frame. A 3 triple linear axis frame stands imposed, and because of it that this gets superimposed with a frame, a spatial frame of 6 spatial dimensions, 6 surfaces like 4 walls, ground floor and roof. These 6 surfaces, it looks like as if we are within 3 space, and this 3 space conditioning is firstly because of these 6 surfaces, and these 6 surfaces are also because of this 3 linear axis frame. It is this 3 linear axis superimposition upon this space resulting into the manifestation of 6 surface plates conditions the mind. It is this conditioning of the mind, it is this mental state which is coming in our way. in the modern mathematics, and many of the axioms and postulates of the modern mathematics are conditioned, prejudiced, restrictions are there because of this mental state. Unless and until we melt this mental state, it may not be possible to have a comprehension of the order of the Vedic comprehension. Vedic reality comprehension requires that this mental state be melted, it be dissolved, and for it we have to come out of this three frame, this x-axis, y-axis and z-axis frame, and these 6 surface plates which are enveloping three space domain deserve to be dispensed with. These are to be dissolved, and for dissolving it would mean we would be melting the mental condition of a linear order. We have to come out of it, and the moment we will come out of it, we'll feel, oh, the universe is 4 space. But here again we have to have a very cautious state, because the space is not a 4 space. Space is not a 4 space. It looks like a 4 space, as now instead of linear conditioning of a triple linear dimensions, we are conditioned by the quadruple dimensions, and these quadruple dimensions are again having dimension of dimension order, which is of the order 4. Therefore it is 2 raised to power 4, which is conditioning a single creator's space. Therefore it again is our mental state. It is this mental state which deserves to be melted, and for it we have to come out of 4 space, and then we'll look like, oh, the universe is a 5 space. True, it will give us this enlightenment. We will be face to face with it. However, let us be not satisfied with it. We know that 5 space itself is a conditioning, because it is conditioning itself by having enveloping a 6 space at its origin. Therefore we have to transcend it also, and we have to reach at sun, a 6 space. It is this way that we will be knowing, we will be understanding how the Vedic scholars are sequentially melting their mental state. First we have to melt our mental state of a linear order, then we have to melt our mental state of a spatial order, then we have to melt our state of a solid order. And when we are within a creator's space, that means we have now to sit comfortably. The blissful exercise, the first exercise for the students of Vedic mathematics and the sadhakas is that they shall be face to face with the reality of the 4 space. And when we are in the reality of a 4 space, then we shall also know how the 4 space is playing its different roles. 4 space is not only a 4 space content manifesting as a domain fold. 4 space is a content which manifests as fold, but plays firstly the role of a dimension, then of a boundary, then of a domain, and ultimately of a origin as well. Therefore, when we will be appreciating, when we will be face to face with this phenomenon of 4 space playing 4 distinct roles, as of a dimension, as of a boundary, and as of a domain, one shall have a halt here, because it is not only a domain, it is a domain within a domain, because the original initiation was a 4 space content itself. Therefore 4 space within 4 space. It is this phenomenon, it is this unique phenomenon, it is this reach, it is this feature, it is this attainment, and it is this takeoff stage. The takeoff stage for the sadhakas to be parallel to Vedic mathematics systems is the stage and phase and stage when we are in a position to work out domain within a domain. To work out a domain within a domain is the first attainment when one will be in a position to handle domain within a domain, vyasti, samishti. Only then one can say that one is face to face with the Vedic systems. And like that, therefore, we have to have a practice of having a cube within a cube. So first phase and stage of having this perfection, to have a perfection of a intelligence that we can handle a domain within a domain, then we see that within a cube we can have interval, square and a cube. The cube within a cube is a setup which is different than the outer cube. Outer cube has points, edges, surfaces and volume. All are of distinct dimensional features. However, within a cube, everywhere there is a three space content. So point as well is a three space content, line as well is a setup of solid points, surface as well is a setup of solid points, and the cube itself is of a solid points. It is domain within a domain. A step ahead, we have to reach at a 4 space within a 4 space. Then a step ahead, we have to reach at 5 space within a 5 space. And a step ahead, we have to reach at a 6 space within a 6 space. And for it, it will be blissful if we can have a proper comprehension of this 6 cross 6 grid format. The first column is of a dimensional order, second column is of a boundary fold, third column is of a domain fold, fourth column is of origin fold, fifth column is of a base fold, and sixth column is the format. Therefore, when we are having 6 space as a dimension, then we have a 6 space as a boundary, then we have 6 space as a domain, 6 space as a origin, 6 space as a base, and 6 space as a format. When we'll be on this northeast diagonal, when we'll be progressing along this northeast diagonal, then we will be in a position to have an appreciation as to how these features are. And when we are here at this phase and stage, then we are at the stage of a raised to power 7 is to 14 b raised to power 6. Therefore, our present phase and stage is the present step of introductory features of self-referral boundary of unity state. Therefore, we are at present initiating ourselves and having exposure for ourselves as introductory features of self-referral boundary of a unity state. Means we are at the formulation a raised to power 7 is to 14 b raised to power 6. That means we are at the phase and stage of 6 space playing the role of a boundary of a 7 space. So 6 space as a dimension, 6 space as boundary of 7 space, 6 space as a domain in the role of a dimension of 8 space. Why it is a role of a dimension here? Because it is a domain within a domain. Therefore, we know the synthesis of parallel dimensions gives us value 8. It is this feature which is to be appreciated to have proper appreciation and step ahead, and will be 6 space as origin taking to 9 space, and otherwise 6 space as dimension is also taking us to 9 space as the origin. These are the features, these are the values, and when 6 space as a base, and this will be taking us to value 10, here to value 11, which is parallel to 11 geometry's range of 5 space. How 6 space in its different roles is taking us to and parallel to and availing a format of 11 geometry's range. From here, then we will be reaching at how from -6 to 6 as 0, this 13 signatures geometry's range is ultimately to be accommodated in 11 steps, -6, -5, -4, -3. These are the steps, 13 steps, and these are going to be accommodated for this 4 space as a dimension to -6 space as a dimension. This is an order. So this is 11 steps, these are 13 steps. How this 6 space with 13 geometries range is accommodated along the format of 11 geometries of a 5 space. These are the features, these are the initial features, and for these initial features we have to be exposed. Sit comfortably, revisit these sheets of the present lesson of introductory features of self-referral boundary of a unity state. Go smoothly, sheet first step to the last step of these sheets shall be gone through. One shall be face to face with it, and it is by imbibing these features, it is by being face to face with these features, we will be initiating ourselves, we will be exposing ourselves for further insight and further enlightenment about the self-referral boundary of a unity state. Thank you very much.